In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make viral 3D reels like Houston Kold in Davinci Resolve. So jump right into it. Okay, this will be a continuation of the video made by Veka Does Editing. I will leave his link to his video down in the description. That will be like the part 1, and this is continuation of the same animation. Also a quick disclaimer, if you're looking to get premium sound effects and music for your videos, I have become an affiliate for audio, and I'll leave a link down below that you can check it out. You can get like 70% off on your first year of Pro package using the code SAVE70, and at the same time you can support me. So now that we have that out of the way, let's get started. So here we have some Fusion composition. Let's jump into Fusion. So this is our Fusion composition. It's really not that hard. It may look difficult, but I'm gonna explain what every node does and why. So let's first start. We first have our background. That is just this color. If you want to copy it, there you go. Next, we have merged over this. This is just a video of the same exact animation that Veka recreated in his video, so you can go watch his video, recreate it, and then just continue on to this video if you want, or you can just go the animation I'm about to show you. So let's click here on the media one. Also, all the assets will be down in the description, so if you want to use the video that are already recreated, you can use that instead. So here's a media in. Global in and outs are 0 and 34, and trim is 115 and 149. So it just means that it will start from frame 0 and go to till frame 34. Frame 34, it disappears. This trim is basically cutting out length of the video that we merged over, so it's actually 150 frames long, but I cut it out to be just the last part from frame 115 to frame 150. Then we have this transform. It just goes from frame 4 to frame 24. As you can see, it just goes up. So on the first frame, on the frame 4, it's keyframed on the center like this, and then on the frame 24, this is the keyframe for it, so it just moves up. That's it for the first background. Then we can jump over to this scene here that is showing. So here we just have a background with this color right here. If you want to copy it, then we have this transform that's just making this background a lot bigger. So this here is the size value. Then we have this grain, so it's a bit grainy. These are the settings for it. Let's see, blend is at 1. Then we have this text, so let's see, it's this text in directly. So let's go to text. Its font is the bold font. It's right here. In the shading, do we have something? Nothing is activated in the shading, so it's just white text right here, and H anchor is this one right here left, so that these words start from the left side. Then we have this glow one. Glow, this is the settings for glow, and blend is on 0.2. And on the merge, we have keyframe the blend from frame 29. It's set on 1, and on frame 30 it's set on 0, so it just disappears like this, as you can see. Then we have this other text that spawns in at the, so just the same thing, but right here the size is right here, line spacing and everything else is right here. And then we have again glow. These are the settings, you can copy them. And then at the merge, as you can see on frame 29, it's blend is keyframed at 0. On frame 30, it's keyframed on 1. So as the previous text disappears, this one appears in the same frame. And then we go to frame 37. Blend is again keyframed to 1. And then at the frame 38, the blend is keyframed to 0. So it disappears and this other text spawns in. Okay, let's go to the third text now. It's just destruction. Right here, same bold font, these are the size and line spacing values. Then we have this displacement on it. As you can see, these are the settings for displace, and we have a fast noise. It's right here, so just drag and drop it and connect it to our displace. And it has to be connected in the green output of the displace. So we have this fast noise. As you can see, that's just a mask for displacement. So these are the settings for that fast noise. And you have this scale, angle, seed, and seed rate. Seed rate is just how quickly it will change, as you can see, because as this fast noise mask is changing, so is the text changing too. As you can see here, you can see a little bit of movement as we skim through the frames. Okay, then we have a glow on it. These are the settings again for the glow. You can copy them. And then we have merged over this glitch effect. As you can see here, in this destruction text spawns, it has this like glitchy effect right here happening. That's why we connected this here. But we also did something else. From the text, we connected it again to the mask of this glitch effect, because if it's not connected, you see the glitch effect is applied throughout the whole scene. But if we take the text output and then connect it to our mask, it will only happen inside of the boundaries of this text, so just in the letters of our text, because we have connected it to the mask of this effect. So it's masking out the letters, and effect it's only happening inside of the letters. And let's go to the merge of this effect. On the operator, it's disjoint, so it's not over. Click on disjoint because there's a slight difference in them, but you can test out whatever works better for you, and you can choose that. Okay, then we have this off text that spawns in behind our subject, and as we can see, it has a slight animation of letter F upwards. That's because we have a follower modifier on it. How do we achieve the follower modifier? In this here box, you go right click, and then you have here, it will be whited out follower, and you can click on it. So just click on it and it will open another window, something like this. So here in the timing, the delay is set to 6.3, and then we go to the shadings tab. In the shadings tab, we go down to the position, and we have keyframe something on the first offset here. So let's go to the first keyframe. Let's get this text here. So we have this now OF here, and on our first keyframe, so on frame 40, the Y offset is negative 0.073, and on the second keyframe, on the frame 45, it is keyframe back to 0. So what does that do? As you can see here, it just means that our letter is animating upwards on y-axis like this. So watch this OF here side. So it just animates up like this. Also forgot to mention, when you click this keyframe here on the position offset, it will open this path just like this. But we won't actually do anything in this path, so just click, you just have to click back on your follower and go back to your position, and you can then continue keyframing as usual. Okay, so now when I showed you the keyframes, why does it start when we are not even seeing this? That's because in the original video from Houston Kold, the O letter is already fully up and only the F letter is moving. That's why we had to start before it even shows up, so that the O would be stationary and F would keep moving. But why is O stationary now and F is moving? That's because we have this timing in the follower. So movement between characters is delayed by 6.3 frames. So after the movement of our O letter starts, this delay is made. So after this first keyframe, 6.3 frames after that will start the movement of the second letter. So as you can see here on frame 40, nothing is moving. So movement starts on frame 40, O goes up, 4, 5, and 6.5 frames later, the F starts moving. So if we had here like 5 letters, the movement would be delayed between each of them by 6.3 frames. So if it started on frame 40, on frame 46, the F would start moving. So on frame 52, the next letter would be moving, and so on. So it's staggered by 6.3 frames. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, then next we have this glow effect on this. These are the settings again. Then we have this transform effect to make it bigger. These are the values for the transform. Then we have this merge. Nothing is done in the merge, it just merged over, except no, blend is keyframed here. So on frame 45 we have this blend keyframe on 0, and on frame 50 it shows itself, so it's keyframed all the way to 1 because it's not visible, and then it's spawning in. Okay, next what do we have? We have our subject here. Next we have this transform to make him bigger. So these are the settings for the transform. As you can see, you can copy them. Then we have this color corrector to make him black and white, as you can see here. So color corrector is right here. Brightness is bumped up a bit, and saturation is all the way down. And then we have connected it also to the mask of. So from this transform we have connected it once to the color corrector, and then we have connected it again to the mask of the color corrector. So the color corrector only does its thing in the boundaries of our subject, and of course our transform, because it comes after. If we didn't have this connected to our effect mask, it would, as you can see, apply itself on everything. But when we connect it to the effect mask, it's applying itself only to our subject. Okay, now we have this background and polygon mask connected here. Let's see, why do we have that? Well, our polygon mask is as shown. I've just drawn a polygon over this here, and we have our soft edge bumped up to this, and our background is right here, and it's just a black background with the alpha keyframed here. So on frame 50 it's keyframed at 0.74, and on frame 56 it's keyframed to 1, because when this brain spawns in we have to darken everything behind the brain, because that's the effect that Houston Kold went with. So if we disconnect this here, as you can see, our subject becomes like this, because we don't have that effect mask and that shadow that we basically put on him through our polygon and our background. So let's connect it back over, and now we have this. You can play around with your polygon, because as you are moving it, it would change how things look. As you can see now, I have moved these points and our ear is completely in the shadows, but we will bring it back to something like this. Again, our soft edge is bumped up to this, because if we didn't have a soft edge, let's back to 0, it would look like this, and it wouldn't really be that pleasing to the eye. So let's bring it back. Then it's all merged over. We have done nothing in the merge. Then we have this transform. So this transform is only to make it go up. So from frame 6 to frame 24, we have keyframed the movement on the y-axis. So on frame 6, it's negative 0.508, and on frame 25 it's back to 0.5. So it just moves up like this. Now let's go back to our background right here. As you can see, it is keyframed from frame 6, alpha is all the way to 0, and on frame 22 it's all the way to 1. So as this whole scene is moving up, the background is slowly fading out the footage behind it, and it just disappears when it's all the way back to 1. So from frame 6 to frame 22 it just goes from 0, and it slowly starts appearing, and as it is appearing, the footage behind it is disappearing. Next thing that we have is this spawning of this brain here. Okay, let's get our brain here in the left viewer. Oh, this is the brain. It's just PNG of the brain. Then we have this vortex. Let's click on our vortex. So it's keyframed from frame 50 to frame 59, and these are the settings. So from frame 50 to frame 59 size goes from 3.6 all the way to 0. So we have this effect like it's twirling in and then it disappears. So see now, as this brain is appearing and twirling in, our character behind gets darker and darker. That's because we have these keyframes here on our background with the polygon that I showed you before. As you can see, from frame 50, the alpha goes from 0.74 all the way to 1. So we are done with our vortex. Then we have this glow over it. These are the settings, you can copy them. And then we have this grid. So these are the grid settings. Row cells 85, column cells 47, major line spacing 0. This is the color, this is the code for the color. If you want to use the exact same color as I did, then we have this blend here. It's on 0.598. Let's get this to the side a bit. Again, in this grid effect, we have connected our original media into our grid's mask effect because we want it only to affect the area inside of our PNG. If we didn't have that on, so let's turn this mask off, it is affecting everything, so whole background of this PNG, and it would look something like this, which is ugly, of course. So let's connect our PNG back to the grid's mask effect, and now it affects only the area of our brain PNG. So then again we have this displace and the fast noise. So displace, these are the settings if you want to use exact same settings as I, and these are the settings for the fast noise. Here in the detail you can just click on here and just type in 100 because by default it goes to something like 5 I think, but you can make it bigger if you just try to type in right here. Why do we have this displace? Because we want our brain to have this like twirly movement, because that was also in the original animation by Houston Kold. Okay, now we have this row of these transforms. Why do we have that? That's because these 3 transforms are actually for our RGB split. So how do we actually do that? Let's go to the first transform. When you go to settings, you have this process and these buttons for red, green, blue, and alpha. By default, they are like this. And when we deselect everything like this, we are only affecting the red channel. So only the red colors. So I just made size a bit bigger. So right here, we can see this red that is just slightly bigger, just to have a bit of that outline. Then we go to our second transform. These are the settings here. Just a tiny adjustment on the x-axis on our center, and this is just a green channel. Then we go to the next one. We have tiny adjustments on the x and y center, and this is just a blue channel. Then we have this last transform. This transform is just so I could adjust where the brain actually is. So this transform is transforming every effect before it, and we can actually make it bigger. As you can see, we can make it smaller. So this is just for adjusting the position and size of all of our effects here. Okay, next is just merged over, and in the merge also I just adjusted it a bit. We also have in the merge, we have this blend that is keyframed on frame 49, it's keyframed on 0, and then on frame 52 it's keyframed on 1, so it just spawns in like this as it twirls. Okay, that's it for the scene 1. So continuing this here tree, then we connect everything to the image plane, so we can put everything in our 3D scene. After that, it's connected to the merge 3D and to the renderer 3D. Also to our merge 3D, camera is connected, and the other scenes that we have created, because as you see, when we go all the way here, let's get our merge 3D in viewer, we have scene 1, scene 2, and our scene 3 here. Okay, let's go to scene 2 here. In our scene 2, we have this. Let's get it back a bit more. We have just this text relationship, and we have this ink coming from upper left corner and lower right corner. So let's see how did we do that. So first, again, we need a background node with the alpha all the way to 0. Then we have this ink splash that you will have in the assets down below if you want to use the same ink splash as I did. Then we have this luma here, because originally this ink splash is just black and white. We get our luma here in so we can make it transparent so we can see stuff behind it. Okay, in our ink splash media, we have adjusted the global in and out to 80 and the trim is to 80 as well. Okay, these are the settings for the luma here, so you can copy them. Then we have this transform like this, so I just adjusted it to be right here. These are the settings, you can copy them. And then we have this time speed effect because I wanted just to speed up the original video just a bit so the transition is happening faster. Okay, then it's just merged over. These are the settings on the merge, so I just adjusted the X and Y a bit. You can copy them too. Then we have the exact same thing only on the bottom right here. So again, we have our ink, the same video, and then again the same. Then we have this luma here. These are the settings for it. Then again we have a transform just so we can get it all the way to the bottom here. These are the settings, you can copy them. Then again we have this time speed up effect just to speed it up a bit. Then again it's merged over. So when both of those are merged over, this is what scene looks like. If you go to frame 80 here, you can actually see what's actually happening with the stuff that we have done previously. Okay, then we just have our text merged over. So just relationships, these are the settings for it. It has a bit of in the shading on the second tab, it just says he's here red outline, but actually just black outline with this thickness right here. As you can see here, it just has a bit of an outline. And then we have also enabled black shadows in our shading tab. And then in our merge here, we adjusted a bit of the size and our angle, so it ends up being placed like this on the angle when we are zooming out. Then everything is connected to the image plane, as you can see. And these are the settings for that image plane. So Z is on 3.1, scale is intact, so only the value here on translation is adjusted to 3.1 just to pull it out a bit so we have room when we are animating our camera outwards. It just like goes through it, as you can see. Now here it's still on the scene 1, and when the camera is pulling out, it just goes through the second scene and gets it into full view. Then again, our image plane is connected back to the merge 3D right here. Then we have our third scene, the one that spawns in right here after our relationship and ink layer. So let's see how did we create this. So first, we always start with the background. This is the background right here. These are the colors, you can copy them. Then we have this grid on it. These are the settings for that grid. So we have row cell 6, column cells 3, no major line spacing, and then this is the color, you can copy the code. Then we have adjusted our zoom a bit to 1.43 on it, and our rotation to -10.5, so it just appears closer. And on the angle, so it's not, as you can see, if we just click here to bring it back to 0, it looks straight. But when we adjust our angle, it's just on the angle, and it's not really that straight, because in Houston Kold's original video like this. Then when we have our vignette over, these are the settings for the vignette, so just the size is adjusted a bit. Then we have this background right here. Let's see what's the color of our background. This is the code for the color if you want to copy it. Why is this background merged over right here? That's because here we have this underlie. So this background is just the underline for our society text right here. Let's bring it back a bit. So let's see here on frame 1009, we have nothing right here in our left viewer and nothing in our right viewer. On frame 110, we see it starting to appear, and as we go, it just underlies the whole word. And how did we do that? We did that with our rectangle mask. So this here is rectangle mask. You just pull it in and connect it to the mask of our background right here. And this is what it does. So we just mask out the required shape and the size of our underlay, because if it wasn't connected to our rectangle, it would just be over rectangle mask. It would just be over everything right here. But when we connect back to our background, we have dropped it out to exactly what we need. So let's see how did we do that. So let's go to the frame 109. These are the values for our center here, our width, and our height. And then we go to the next keyframe, which is at 116, and these are the values. So you can copy them exactly. So it just goes here and it just writes on. Okay, let's go to the next thing. We have this and our text right here. These are the settings for it. And then we have this glow on it right here. These are the settings for the glow. Also blend is 0.2. Then we have another text, that's just this society text. These are the settings for it. And then again, we have this glow over it that you can check right here. And on the bold text in the merge, angle is set to 9. Also on our second text, the society, we have keyframed the blend. So as you can see on frame 113, the blend is keyframed at 0. And on frame 114, the blend is keyframed on 1. So it isn't there, and then it just spawns in. Then again, everything is connected to the image plane. This right here is the image plane, so you just bring it up and connect everything to it, so that we could connect everything to our merge 3D and put it in our 3D scene. So this image plane right here, these are the settings for it. So only the value has been changed and it's put 3.33. Okay, now we have this camera 3D connected to our merge 3D right here. So let's get our merge 3D here. And this is our camera. These are the settings for our 3D camera. So we have everything here is keyframed. So XYZ translation and rotation, same XYZ. On the first keyframe, it's keyframed on this. So first keyframe is on frame 27 and only Z is actually messed with, but we have keyframed everything just in case. So next keyframe is at frame 78, and as you can see, our camera throughout this animation is getting closer. And then on frame 78 we have these values on our translations X, Y, and Z. You can copy them over, and also on Z rotation, so we just rotate it a bit. And then on the last keyframe, that's on the frame 119, we have these values. So from frame 78 it starts zooming out, as you can see. So now it's coming through here on frame 78. It goes back, goes back, goes back. We can see this whole scene, and then our last scene just starts spawning in front of everything. So we have something like this. But how did we do that? I forgot to tell you. In the image plane of the last scene, so this one right here, we can go there and then go to the material, and as we can see, the opacity is keyframed. So on frame 109, opacity is keyframed at 0, and then on the frame 114 it's keyframed on 1, so we can't see it and it slowly starts spawning in. Okay, everything then connected the render 3D. We have our render 3D right here. So everything here is on default, just in settings, motion blur is checked on. So everything that's happening in the 3D scene, if there is motion, the motion blur will be applied. Then everything is merged over like this. And we have some After Effects like this green here. Oh yeah. So let's go back to the camera here. Just click on our camera 3D and go to our spline, and then zoom alt fit. And as you can see here, we can go here to select everything and then just press F on our keyboard, smooth out our movement of the camera. Okay, now we have just some After Effect. First we have green. These are the settings. So this is merged over everything, over all of our composition. Then we have this vignette that's merged over. These are the settings for the vignette. And then we have this stop motion effect that's just frame repeat on 2. So it has that bit of a choppy animation to it. Okay, let's go to this transform. Let's see if we have here. We didn't touch the spline for this transform. Let's go to this transform here and go to spline. Let's see if we... Okay, I just forgot in this transform right here. So let's go to the spline here. Let's select this all. Go zoom to fit and then select all. And we have this graph that is custom made. And so when you select all of this, you just press F on your keyboard and then just drag this one right to here. That's how I made this graph. So yeah. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below. And if you want to learn how to edit like Magnets Media in Davinci Resolve, then this video is for you.